Good evening, everyone. I hope that you're having a great week so far, and I hope that you had a good Mother's Day celebration on Sunday. Me and my family, my wife and my daughter, we were able to meet up with my mother-in-law and my mom last weekend, and we just needed a good dose of Mama's kitchen. After almost 2 months of being locked down, I can just get hungry all over again just thinking about the weekend. I think I may have put on a little bit of weight as well. But don't worry, calm down, nothing to be alarmed about. We did practice all the SOPs of social distancing as recommended by the governments and by WHO and every other body. Alright, so it's all good, we're safe, everything is fine. Right? So today I'd like to zero in on some great stuff that was mentioned by my spiritual mom and senior pastor, Pastor Stella Ramaya, on Sunday at her Mother's Day message. And if you've been listening to Pastor Stella for a while, you'll know, as usual, she brings out great revelation, and I'm talking about great revelation of the simplest of things from the Bible that we most of the time overlook. And she spoke about the ingredients we need in a time of crisis. If you have not listened to it yet, I encourage you to get on it. It will bless your week, it will bless your life. There were many things that she mentioned, but I just want to zero in on some of the things that really caught my heart and really spoke to me and spoke to me personally, and I hope that it will bless you as well today. Looking at the story of Joseph in the Bible, and you can look it up in the book of Genesis from chapters 37 onwards. And you'll find that throughout the life of Joseph, and he's been through many stages in his life, and throughout his life you'll find one thing that was consistently mentioned in the scriptures, and it was consistently evident in Joseph's life, and that was the Lord was with Joseph. God was with Joseph, and it was consistent throughout the stages of Joseph's life. When Joseph first had his dream or his vision of who he was going to be and what was coming, God was with him. When Joseph was betrayed and beaten by his own family and his brothers, and they sold him into slavery, God was still with Joseph. And when Joseph was serving as a servant in his master Potiphar's house and found favor with Potiphar, God was with Joseph. And when Joseph was falsely accused by Potiphar, God was with Joseph. When Joseph was thrown into prison, God was with Joseph. When he found favor with the prison warden, God was with Joseph. When he was betrayed by the people he thought would bring him the break or give him the break that he's been waiting for, or the breakthrough that he's been waiting for, when he was betrayed, God was still with Joseph. And when he finally became one of the most powerful men in all the world, Pharaoh's right-hand man, God was still with Joseph. What am I trying to say? Throughout all the stages of Joseph's life, the bad seasons and the good seasons, the bad times and the good times, God was consistently with Joseph. And if you see throughout Joseph's life, you'll find that every bad season didn't last. There was always a good season that came after a bad season. Every bad season was temporal. There was always a good season coming, and Joseph knew that, and he kept his focus on what was to come rather than the difficult situation or the crisis he may have been in at that time. And because he kept his eyes on the goodness of God, he kept moving into the good season. You see, whatever the enemy throws at you, friends, whatever the enemy throws at you, our God has the ability to bend that curve. He has the ability to bend whatever evil that comes your way. And this is found in the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 28, and I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible, or known as the NASB. And it says it like this in Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. And we know that God causes all things to work together. See, God doesn't cause all things, as mentioned by Pastor Stella last weekend. He doesn't cause all things. And we humans, we like to conveniently blame God for everything. I mean, everything is an act of God. And the thing is this, most bad things or bad seasons that come in our life, some are out of our control, but most are just consequences of bad decisions, consequences of human meddling, most natural causes, as we call it, consequences of human meddling. So it's just consequences of our bad decisions, bad moves, and bad mistakes. And we like to blame it all on God, and we like to say it's all an act of God, and God causes all things. But that's not true. As sovereign as he is, he does not cause all things. He does, however, cause all things to work together for our good, for our benefit. All things, meaning your bad seasons, your good seasons, your ugly seasons, your in-between seasons, he has the ability to cause all of this to work together in bringing about a good season for you. That is the God we serve. Another thing that was mentioned by Pastor Stella in a message last Sunday was that we need to be convinced of God's goodness. Our God is a good God, but we need to be convinced of his goodness. You see, the greatest king of all time, King David, said this in Psalms 27, and he was in and out of crisis, and there was a lot of difficulty during his at that point of time in his life. And he says, I would have lost heart. I would have thrown in the towel. I would have given up. I would have called it quits if it wasn't for my belief in the goodness of God. He would have given up if it wasn't for the silver lining, and that was the goodness of God. He was convinced that he was serving a good God, and that only good can come from a good God. And he was convinced of God's goodness. And because of that, that was the hope that kept him strong during times of crisis, because he knew that every bad season will always bring about a good season as long as he stuck with this good God. So let me ask you this today. Are you convinced of God's goodness? Are you convinced of his goodness in your life? But see, before you and I can believe in God's goodness, we need to first establish that he is in fact good. See, religion paints a very ugly picture of God. The world paints a very ugly picture of God. And according to those standards, we don't really serve a good God. But I'm here to tell you that the God that we serve is actually a good God. And in order for us to believe in his goodness, or to be convinced of his goodness, we must first establish and be grounded that he is in fact a good God. Because only a good God can work things out for our good. So I want to ask you this. Do you know that he is a good God? Do you know that he is a good God? If you do not know, I want to encourage you today to get to know this God that I'm talking about. See, the only way you will know if He is good or not is if you get to know Him personally. See, I can tell you all sorts of stories about His goodness in my life, and I've got evidence to show you that He has been good. I can even preach to you a great message about His goodness, but all you'll have after all those talks is that you'll just have great information about His goodness. But information is not enough to transform you. What you'll need to convince you of His goodness, and I'm not talking about just He's a good God. I'm saying that you're so convinced that your whole belief system is transformed. For you to be that convinced, you can't get it out of just some information. You've got to get to know Him personally. So I encourage you to get to know Him today. Think about it. What have you got to lose? Everything on earth, and I mean everything at this point of time, is nothing but uncertain. It doesn't matter what position you're in. It doesn't matter who you know in high authority positions. No one can give you any form of certainty. Our jobs are uncertain. Our economy is uncertain. Our next income is uncertain. The outcome of this virus situation is uncertain. Everything that we're in right now in the world, everybody is affected by this season of uncertainty. In other words, you can't build on anything anyway. We just gotta kind of take things a day at a time. So why not try the one thing that you've not, and that is to get to know a good God who holds everything in His hands and is not shaken by any form of uncertainty. In fact, He gives us certainty of His goodness as revealed in His Word. This God I'm talking about today to you is a good God, and He wants to work all things out for your good if you let Him. So friends, get in touch with us. Get in touch with us on our social media platforms as shown to you on the screen right now. Drop us a note. DM us. We'll help you get on this journey of getting to know this good God, the only thing that is certain in these uncertain times. Whatever you do, do not suffer in silence. Don't live hopelessly in this uncertainty. You were made for more. Yes, you and I, who the Bible says we were beautifully and carefully designed. Every one of us. So we were made for more. So don't live hopelessly during this time. Get in touch with us. Get to know this God. If you need some help, we will help you. There's so many people out in this world who will help you to get on this journey of getting to know this good God that I'm talking about. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I can encourage you to get the full message, the full dose of this message as preached by Pastor Stella last Sunday. If you'd like to hear more about this, you'll find it on our social media platforms as shown to you earlier on the screen. Get online, get into our Instagram, into our Facebook, get on our YouTube channel, click that subscribe button so you'll know whenever there's a new video that comes out, and listen to the sermon that was preached by Pastor Stella last Sunday to get the full dose of what I'm saying to you today. And I hope that you'll be blessed by it as much as I was. Have a great week ahead. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I hope to see some messages. I hope to read some DMs by the end of this week. So we'll see you soon. Have a great week.